Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We'll get started in just a few moments. All right, for all of you just joining us this morning, good morning, and thanks for joining us on today's webinar, Supercharge Your Team with Automated Business Processes. So before we get started, just want to go over a few items so you know how to participate in today's event. So you should see your attendee interface on your computer desktop in the upper right corner. You're currently listening in, or most of you are at least anyway, from your computer speaker system by default. But if you prefer to join over phone or have trouble hearing from your computer, you can select telephone in the audio pane and the dial-in information will be displayed. So you'll have opportunity to submit text questions to our presenter, Michael Callahan, today by typing your questions into the questions pane of the control panel. You can also send in your questions at any time during the presentation. We'll collect those and address them during our Q&A session at the very end. So here's an overview of what we're going to be discussing, starting with how small, medium businesses are adapting to digital transformation, how no-code, low-code apps are driving digital transformation, a first-hand perspective from CPA and business owner Michael Callahan and how he uses Kintone's business application platform, and then Q&A and next steps. So first, we're going to take a poll, and we're going to send some super sleek Kintone t-shirts to 3 people who answer. So please do participate. I think this is something that a lot of people can relate to or at least have some insight on. So we're going to launch the poll right now. So the question is, does your company deliver a best-in-class digital experience for employees and customers? I'll give you a few moments here to answer that. Okay, just take another few minutes if you haven't answered already. All right. So unsurprisingly, a lot of people said, no, our companies do not currently deliver a digital-first experience we do some parts, but not very well. It's not across our entire organization. So we hear that a lot at Kintone. So just wanted to get a pulse. Digital transformation is tough, no matter the size of your organization. But regardless, companies of all sizes have an incredible opportunity to become more nimble, to expand and turn the tables on larger competitors. When everything's digitized and tracked, businesses can work directly with suppliers and customers while gaining more control over their business. So how are small and medium businesses adapting to this transformation? Well, nearly 60% of decision makers believe that technology levels the playing field for small businesses versus larger corporations. Meanwhile, just over 40% cite their size as an advantage over larger companies or less able to take advantage of digital innovation in a timely way, which that makes sense, right? Having to overhaul a large organization with multiple players, multiple departments, is definitely a more time-consuming process that involves lots of different people and processes, and of course, company politics. So this is according to a SAP commissioned IDC study. And according to that study, there's a clear connection between digital transformation and revenue growth. So fast-growing small and mid-sized firms with over 10% annual revenue growth were significantly more likely to indicate major progress toward transformation than slower-growing firms. So there's lots of tools for addressing digital transformation, lots of solutions toward becoming more of a digital transformed company that's delivering a digital-first experience for both employees and customers. Now, one of the solutions that's becoming very popular is no-code and low-code business applications. So first, let's explain what we mean by those. According to Forrester, no-code typically means that you're working within a drag-and-drop platform for selecting fields to design an application from something, let's say, like an Excel spreadsheet. Low-code goes a step further by giving users more power to modify existing JavaScript and other code to build really just about any business application they can imagine for various processes and various needs of their company. But whether it was built with no-code or low-code, business apps remain an agile way to work that enables teams to thrive in a mobile and data-driven landscape. With powerful features such as real-time reporting dashboards to improve decision-making, exposing trends, and managing projects, these solutions can increase customer satisfaction and propel digital transformation across an entire organization. So let's take a look at one example, American Electric. This Hawaii-based electrical contractor went from managing its business with individual spreadsheets to using business apps to digitize everything from finance, human resources, supply chain, and production. And the results are pretty staggering. The results include increasing collaboration for over 40 employees and 5 departments working from the office and out in the field, saving money by not using expensive and bulky operations management software, and transforming disconnected email and spreadsheet-driven processes with centralized task-driven workflow. So this is the perfect segue to introduce Michael Callahan, who owns a Virginia CPA firm. He's a fantastic example of how he took his technology needs into his own hands to create a seamless, more efficient business. And he joins us today to share how he made it happen. So I'm going to welcome Michael. Let me just get him on the line here. All right, Michael, welcome.
Thank you, Nicole.
So we're going to start by having a little introduction to how and why you started your company.
Sounds great.
So yeah, so maybe you can give us a little walkthrough of what that looks like and what inspired you to start your company and kind of where things are at currently.
Well, I started the company about 6 years ago. I was the manager of a large tax department for a large corporation. The corporation had changed locations from central United States to the East Coast. And when they transitioned, they didn't bring anyone from the tax department. So they basically hired me as the manager of tax, and I rebuilt the department and was able to automate a lot of the processes that they were currently using. And we restaffed here on the East Coast with about half the staff that we had, or the company had previously, which saved the company probably close to $1 million in salaries, but it was such a large corporation that they didn't even really realize the savings. And so over the years, I've built a small clientele of smaller clients and had a lot more fulfillment from servicing those smaller clients. And so I made the jump to go on my own. Again, it's about 6 years ago.
Excellent. And so what kinds of processes do you run to make your business, well, just work and function?
We do tax preparation, tax planning, payroll, bookkeeping, and transactional taxes like sales tax. pretty much a full-service accounting firm.
Excellent. And what do you use to do those things?
We use a variety of different things. We use a lot of our clients are on QuickBooks Online for bookkeeping and accounting. It's a cloud-based accounting software. We also use a cloud-based tax preparation software. Before I found Kintone, we actually used a Microsoft product called OneNote to try to manage clients and tasks and projects, and it was very cumbersome.
Yeah, maybe go into a little bit more detail about what was challenging or frustrating about some of these services and solutions.
It was a lot of the processes were manual. When a new employee would come on board, there was a lot of training involved, and it wasn't consistent for each new employee, just because we kind of didn't remember what we did for the previous employee, so we kind of were flying by the seat of our pants. And then the other thing about it is things were in different places. So if you wanted to find a project for a client, you would go to one place, but if you wanted to find the contact information for the client, you'd have to go to another place. And there was no correlation or no syncing between the two, so it just took a lot longer to get around for just basic tasks. And so I started my quest for something to help manage the process, and we grew pretty quickly right from the beginning. We were averaging, it was just myself at first, we were averaging 7 new clients a month, so we were growing really rapidly, and it didn't take very long until I realized that if I didn't find a better way to manage the firm, that it was going to really stifle my growth.
Yeah, so what was important to you then when you were evaluating your options? I'm sure that research process took some time, but yeah, what were you really looking for to make that shift, to make that change?
So I wanted something that kind of did everything, and instead of having things here and there, I wanted to be able to manage everything from one place. In the accounting industry, there are a lot of accounting-specific project management software. Some from really inexpensive per user to some as expensive as like $500 or $600 per user, and I demoed all of them, and it was one of two things: either it was inexpensive and it didn't do everything that I wanted it to, or it was super inexpensive and not really affordable, and then at the same time it still didn't do quite everything that I wanted it to do. So one night I was on Facebook and the Kintone advertisement popped up, and the rest is history pretty much.
Excellent. And so how are you currently using Kintone as a central hub for your business?
Well, we use it constantly. From anywhere from prospecting, managing leads, to once they become clients, managing all the related projects with different clients, staff training, HR, education for employees, time management. It really does. We use it for everything.
Awesome. And in terms of time, how much do you think Kintone has helped you save, and just other benefits you are finding that Kintone has created for your business?
It's unbelievable. When I first got Kintone, because it took a little while to build the apps, and so once I had the apps up and running, I think at that point we had about 100 clients, and I had a staff of about probably about 6 or 7 at that point, and so now 3 years later, 2.5 years later, we have almost 400 clients, and we're able to service those clients with the same amount of staff. I think I've added 1 staff person. So wow. It's really hard to quantify how much it's saved us, but it definitely, there's no way we could have grown that quickly without Kintone.
Excellent, excellent. So I think for people to get a better idea of what this looks like, all the different processes that you run with Kintone, I want to hand it over to you to go on a tour of your Kintone platform to really see what it looks like. So I'm going to hand the control over to you, Michael.
All right.
Great, and can see your platform all there.
All right. Sounds good. This is kind of the main portal where everything happens. You can see the different graphs we've created to be able to manage staff tasks and to know who's got more or less tasks, to be able to make sure that the projects are spread evenly. I'm going to walk you through kind of the journey from a new prospect all the way till they become a client. These are different apps that we use. I'm gonna create a new prospect. And I've created all these fields, and it's a trial and error process, because when you first start with Kintone, you don't realize everything that it can do, and so it's a work in process. And it's really amazing all the things that you can automate with it.
So this is something you're using on a daily basis.
Absolutely. Try to be quick. The other nice thing about Kintone is that I may or may not want staff to see all these different things, how much I'm charging clients, so on and so forth. And so each one of these fields is customizable as far as who can see and who cannot see different fields, which is great, because I really didn't have anything like that prior to this. So I created a new client, and these process buttons, again, completely customizable to my business, and it just kind of runs through the different processes that happen before someone actually becomes a client. And again, these are all, and you can easily see when things happen in the process. So again, if a client calls me and asks what's going on with my tax return, I can just go to the task, look right here, and see exactly when things were done, when things were followed up on. And that's, I think, one of the most powerful things about it. So here's a new client, or a new lead came in. We went through the sales process. They become a client. I'm able to, so now you can see their status is like they're now a client. These buttons are, Kintone allows you to basically create different records in a completely different app. So rather than having one database full of potential clients and clients, what I did was I set up one app for my leads, so I could easily differentiate between who is a potential client and who is a new client. So once they become a new client, this trigger creates a record in my client database, which is, again, a completely separate app. And then rather than having to re-input any information, I can just look up, and all these fields will auto-populate with the information that I just put in. So it saves a ton of time as far as data entry goes.
Very cool.
Yeah, and the same thing, different fields on here are able to be kept from different users depending on how I set it up. Whether if I want like an admin to be able to see everything, or if I want a staff person to only be able to see certain things, it's fully customizable. Not sure if everyone on here is aware, but Kintone works directly with Zapier. It's a third-party software that basically allows you to shoot information to other cloud-based software. So for example, when I just created this client, I've set up a Zap that will send this information, the contact information. It'll send it to QuickBooks Online, my QuickBooks for the firm, and it'll create the client in QuickBooks. It'll also send It'll zap the information to Outlook 365 and update my contact list with all the client's information, all just by pushing save here. So it's pretty amazing all the repetitiveness that goes away when you use Kintone.
And it truly has become your central hub, right? To tie it all into one place. And yeah, you've been a really great example of how you are using it. And like QuickBooks can also connect to other apps, Gmail, Google Calendar, MailChimp, really anything. There's a huge long list of different things you can integrate with. So yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
And obviously you can see you can make things that are required fields so that even if you've done it 100 times and you forget, it won't let you forget. And the same deal here, there's a completely different process for this app versus my leads app. So I've got all these set up the same way. So it takes the client through, so when I'm onboarding a client, they go through every client goes through the exact same experience, and they're getting the same information. Again, this sent out the zap to QuickBooks Online. It sent it to Office 365. It also sent one to MailChimp, which sends out an automated email that welcomes them as part of our culture, and just like a template email that says kind of the things to expect by working with us. It makes, from a client's perspective, it feels like they feel like you're on top of everything, and it's and I'm really not doing anything different than I did years ago, but it's just automated.
Yeah, it's as if you've got like 100 people working for you almost.
Right, exactly. So now they're set up as a client. Again, I would send it through the process so that different things were set up. Mine is integrated with Box, so this is another key feature, I think, that it saves so much time, because if a client calls me and I go here to their database, I'm immediately, like, I don't have to drill down through my network to go and find where that client's information is. It's right here. So every time a client calls, it normally would take you 30 seconds to a minute to find their folder on your network. Boom, you come here and it's there. So that's a client. Let me now show you. So again, there's these triggers. So this is going to create a trigger that goes to my main app, which is what I use to manage different projects. There's a lot going on here, and it's probably a little bit overwhelming. And most people probably wouldn't have all the information that we have on here, but you'll definitely understand why we're able to stay on top of things the way we are. This lookup field looks up different tasks. I've set up stock tasks for different things like payroll tasks, tax return tasks, and based on the lookup, a lot of things auto-populate. So I can assign a staff person, a manager. There's all these related links that are going to other apps, kind of shortcuts again to get to things quickly. The box integration here, and then the staff person's time. So it's really easy for me to know how long things are taking. If a project's going over budget or under budget, it's easy to see because it's all in one place. Different fields for notes, different statuses. So again, we know at all times where things stand. And this section here, budget, is auto-populated from this database of tasks that I've created. So again, I don't have to spend time meeting with my staff to say, okay, this is the new project, this is what the budget's going to be. It's completely automated. They know immediately to look down here to see how long things are going to take. and it saves a lot of that the back and forth in the meetings to go through things.
Awesome.
So now we've got this task. I'm going to make another task just so you can see some of the related records and how they work. And again, these process buttons, I have a super, in this particular app, I have a super complex process management set up so that depending on what the title is, it takes the staff person through the process that's specific for that task. So it really makes the business owner think about all the steps involved in the process, and they set these, once you set these process management buttons up, you don't have to be there, and you don't have to tell the employee or the staff person what to do every single time. It walks them right through the process.
That's right. And how much are you using your mobile device to check in, or when you get an update notification, see how a task is coming along?
It's I think what I use the mobile for mostly is for just communication internally. Because of the complexity of all the fields that I have, it's really large on a phone. But
Yeah.
like because my leads app and my client app is not as complicated, I can really use those constantly from a mobile device. And being able to, like if a staff has a quick question and I get a notification on my phone, I can quickly answer it and keep the process moving so that it's not stalled until the next time I can get in front of my computer and see the notification. So it's really helpful as far as communicating with staff.
Excellent.
So we've got a new QuickBooks client task here. We've got a tax return task for the same client here. And you can see the way that I've set this up that I can see all the related tasks that are related to this client. So I can see this task on the tax return task. I can see that there's also this bookkeeping task. And that's really helpful, again, to know how much we have for this particular client. If the client calls, I can easily see everything that's going on with this client. Let me go into the process management a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
How are we doing on time?
Doing great. We've got about 5 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, and it takes a while to load because I've got so many steps in the process management that it takes a while to load, so I apologize for that. But I think I've got probably, I don't know, close to 1,000 steps in here. It's pretty. So
yeah.
These are all the different steps for different tasks.
Well built.
Yeah. These are all the steps for different tasks, and you can see, I mean, they're super long, and this is, again, it's fully customizable to whatever business you're in. All these steps you can assign to different people, and it really is, you don't need to know anything about technology as far as coding or anything like that. It's you know, pluses, drop downs. It's really simple to set this up. And again, it makes you think about all the steps that are involved so that you can really set this up and kind of take the owner out of the picture, and so you can focus on growing your business and managing your business versus just being in the business so much.
Yeah, and that's part of Kintone too. Our consultants and engineers will help you think about your process. You know, a lot of time we get spreadsheets sent to us, you know, can you make this an app? It might be a little messy, or the owner, the line of business manager might not really know or have their process clearly defined. And we'll do some basic work to clear some of that up so that you're really making Kintone work as best as possible for you.
So that's the task. I want to show you. I've created this separate space for employees for them. It's a completely separate app for training. It's got different cards, which is kind of like the overall thing that we want them to learn. And then within those cards are different skills. And so if someone has a question or a comment about something and it's a skill that they've already learned or mastered, and I can quickly see who's done what by these different graphs that I've created, if they have questions about it, rather than me spending more time to go through it again, I can quickly send them to the skill and they can relearn it, and it takes me out of the picture and kind of puts things back on them to learn and understand, which has been very helpful. This is something brand new that we just implemented.
That's great.
And it's the same. These are my assigned skills. It's the same thing. I've created separate process for these different skills, and again, I can easily see what's going on with them. And then there's notes related to the skill. You can see who's done the skill through related records. It really helps standardize everything in the company from a learning perspective. Go back to the portal. We also I've created a separate app for appraisals so that on a quarterly basis we can evaluate our staff on different areas. And you can see there's tons of different graphing functions which make it real easy to see how people are doing, how the company as a whole is doing, and you can see the different staff people and how they rank. It's a
little competitive.
Yeah, exactly, and and some people don't always like to just see the numbers, and they can get a better feel for things visually, and that's why I like the ease with which to set up these graphs and give a different perspective on looking at things. And then even minor things like you don't really think about, like for example, I created a separate app for managing laptops and monitors. My firm's 100% paperless, so everyone has laptops. Everyone's got multiple monitors, 3 and 4 monitors. They work from the office, they work from home, and I can easily see all the equipment, who's got what equipment, and it probably took me, I don't know, 10 minutes to create this app, and to do it in Excel would be really cumbersome, or some other type of like a Word document or something to try to track this. It would be a real pain. Another huge thing with Kintone is the communication, being able to get notifications either on your computer or on your mobile device. It's so easy to know where everything is and kind of keep, like I said, keep things moving. You can see all the different notifications that we have. If someone mentions you, you can answer questions. You can set up reminders that automate if something's taking too long or if something is overdue. You can see like this task has been on my list for 7 days. You can set that up to be 15 days, 13 days. It's fully customizable, and that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to use Kintone, because again, when I tried out all these different software, some did some of it and others did different things, but none of them did everything that I wanted them to do, and it was frustrating because I didn't want to have 2 different systems simultaneously working to get it all done. I wanted one so that staff can really focus on the client and being able to service the client.
Yeah, and you've done it really well.
Thank you. I think that's, I mean, unless I think that's pretty much the whole suite of apps that we use on a daily basis. And again, we're in here, when people first come into the office, this is the first place they go. They're in it all day, and it's the last place they go when they're done at the end of the day.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Michael. That was an excellent tour showing the multiple features of Kintone and really just how someone is actually using it for their business and to do multiple things and using it on the go. Like, I didn't realize you were using it for equipment, to track your equipment, and just how easy it is to build an app on the spot like that. And it's really, truly customizable to your specific needs. So again, yeah, you've done a really great job of using multiple parts of Kintone. That's the beauty of it, this platform with really solid pre-built features. So time to dive into some questions, and if you haven't asked yours already, you can just head on over to the questions pane in your attendee control panel. And I'll give just a few moments here to formulate your question, and we'll start answering. All right, looks like we've got some questions coming in. This first one, so how much setup is out of the box, and how is the platform initially customized to a new customer? So perhaps you can talk from your perspective, Michael, how long it took you to get Kintone up and running. Because it looks really complex, a lot of the things you're doing, and I know there's a variety of, no code to low code to needing some more customization. So if you could talk a little bit about that process.
Sure. It didn't take long to get the initial apps set up. I think I mentioned earlier that you don't realize how much it can do until you actually start setting things up and really thinking about how else can this help me automate things and make things easier. I think probably I was live within a few weeks, and again, I didn't have, when I started using Kintone, I was the only user, so I was doing everything myself. If you had a staff person that could help get it set up, it would be even faster. Plus, I was trying to run and grow my business at the same time I was trying to create this. So it definitely doesn't take long. A lot of the canned apps will do everything you need to get started. But again, once you get in there and start realizing all the things that you're doing repeatedly or you're having others do repeatedly, it's constant work in process, and I still change things, or I figure out something else it can do that I didn't realize, probably on a every other month basis. It's really awesome how customizable it is.
Yeah, well said. And yeah, as you mentioned, there are things right out of the box. We've got a marketplace of apps that you can use immediately, and that's the no-code part. And you can even customize those if you have specific functions that you need. You can build on top of those. And we also have really excellent sales engineers, being that this is a customizable platform, to make sure that it tailor fits your specific business needs. So our sales engineers are ready to help customize it to whatever your specific need is from the get-go. Excellent. So great first question. Let's move along to our next one here. Let's see. All right. Do you have a client portal to upload docs, scans, and enter data on forms? I can take that one. We sure do. We allow outside people, like contractors, for example, to use Kintone by using our guest space, which allows you to collaborate with external partners who aren't members of your portal. So guest users can view only the information in this guest space that they've been invited to join. They can't access the rest of your Kintone platform. So all your guest spaces where you're a member show up in the spaces section on the right of the portal homepage. So within that then, yeah, you can upload docs, scans, enter data on forms, and collaborate with people outside your organization. Great question. All right, here, another question. How does Kintone compare to an app like, I don't know if I'm butchering this, ICIMS or if it's iSIMS? No, I don't have a answer to that, but I can definitely ask a sales engineer and follow up with you. So I've got your contact information. I'll make sure after the webinar that I go ahead and answer that question for you. Let's see, what else do we have here? We've got another question. And let's see, can I use Kintone on my phone? Yeah, and Michael brought that up earlier. You can use it from any mobile device, iPad, smartphone. We have a native iOS and Android app that comes included. You can just download it right from the App Store. And it allows you to access and manage your team's applications quickly, securely, and from anywhere. So you can update workflows, spaces, and threads from there. You can view and interact your data. And what a lot of people use it for is for receiving push notifications to be instantly notified when you have team members or partners, customers sending you personal messages, or they mention you in comments, or need you to request approval on workflow. So it's been really useful for a lot of people, especially working out in the field, to be able to move things along, as Michael mentioned, to make sure there's not a kink in your process and that you can keep things moving forward. So great question. Let's see. Got time for one more question. And yeah, so someone wanted to know a little bit more about outside services that integrate with Kintone. So we do have JavaScript API, which introduces various APIs that can be used with JavaScript files. So this gives Kintone access to connect and essentially communicate with other databases and programs. And as Michael mentioned, we have a partnership with Zapier, and it's a service that connects databases to web apps you already use and allows you to do so much more with Kintone. So you can connect things like QuickBooks, MailChimp, different Google applications, and many others to automate tedious tasks in your workflow. So great question there. And that is all the time we have for questions, but fear not, if there's something that went unanswered for you, I'll either follow up with you after this webinar, and you can also send me questions at nicole@kintone.com. All right. So just to wrap it up, teams build business apps and database apps with Kintone. No coding is required. So thank you so much, Michael, and thank you to everyone attending today's webinar. And one more time, if you've got any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I'm nicole@kintone.com. And with all this information fresh on your mind, it's the perfect time to sign up for a free 30-day Kintone trial to practice building apps and workflows. Just head on over to kintone.com/trial. And after you leave today's webinar, you'll receive a follow-up email within the next day, including a link to view a recording of today's webinar so that you can kind of break down maybe some parts that you wanted to take a closer look at, or if there's any questions that come from that. Again, we're here for you. All right, so thank you so much for joining us, and have a fantastic rest of your day.